Okay, so guys, since I did not get to talk to you about this activity Miss Mikus did, I just want to clarify a couple things. Number one, here's your the scenario that she went through with you. These are your possible suspects. Now, if it says that it was a girl as your suspect, then you'd come through and cross out all of your be smart if I actually had the pen. But if it says that the suspect is actually a girl, you can come in here and cross off all the boys because you know it can't be a boy. Now, if it says that this suspect is a boy, then you can come in and cross off all the girls. It just depends on what it tells you, all right? So, but go step by step. Do clue 1 first, then you can get rid of all your suspects. Then do clue 2, get rid of all your suspects. Now, so let's look at a couple of the problems. Clue 1. All right, it says crack the code by writing ratios to describe the pictures in each row. Use your answers to match and place the letters in the boxes to reveal your first clue. Put the letters in every box that it matches your answer. Now, the first one's done for you. So it's what is the ratio of triangles to circles in each row? So you have to do all of these as triangles to circles. That's why it says 2 to 3, because there are 2 triangles to 1, 2, 3 circles. So then you come up to see if you're right, and you find a 2 to 3 and put all your H's there. All right, so let's do another one. Let's go down here. What is the ratio of cubes to total shapes? Well, how many cubes? We got to keep it as cubes to total shapes. All right, so cubes, well, let's count how many cubes there are. 1, 2, 3 cubes to how many total shapes? Now, they're not talking about cubes and then cylinders. They're saying total. So they want you to count it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the cubes to total shapes is 3 cubes to 5 total shapes. Come up here, find the 3 to 5s, and I'm going to put an I. Here's a 3 to 5, so I'm going to put an I. Let's see, if there's another I. More 3 to 5s. Yep, there's an I. All right, so there's my 3 to 5s. There could be another one, but I think I've got them all. Then you go to the next one. Well, let's go over here. What is the ratio of shoes to caps? Shoes to caps, all right? Then on the last one, what is the ratio of circles to total shapes? Let's try that again. Circles to total shapes. So 2 circles to how many total shapes? 4. So it'd be 2 to 4. So you'd come up here and do 2 to 4. All right, so I've already done a couple with you. Now let's go over here, all right? Clue 2. Now, first of all, let's go back to clue 1. Once you get your clue, it's going to tell you who to go back here to eliminate, all right? So you've got to eliminate to figure out who the clue is, all right? That's your clue. Now let's look at clue 2. Crack the code, all right? Same type of thing. Now notice it says 12 chairs in 2 rows equals how many chairs per row? Per row means per 1 row. So, guys, listen. They've given you a ratio here, and they're looking for a second part of the ratio. Another ratio. That means, guys, here's a hint. They're doing proportions, okay? So, in other words, 12 chairs in 2 rows. So, I'm going to put 12, and I'm just going to put chairs in 2 rows. And I want to know how many chairs per row. Now, they tell you 6 because per row means 1 row. And I'm looking for this guy right here. Well, what are you doing to the... Oh, let's draw my line here. There you go. All right. So, come on. So I'm going from here to the blank. From here to the blank, to the 1. What am I doing to 2 to get 1? I'm dividing by 2. So 12 divided by 2 gives me 6. That's how they got 6 chairs per row. So they're going to come up here and above, they're going to look for the 6, and they're going to put a U. So let's find all the 6s. Oh, there's a U. More 6s. Oh, there's another 6. There's another U. I think that's all the 6s there is. Let's do one more real quick. It says 20 push-ups in 2 days. How many push-ups per day? I want 1 day. We know you can do 20, I'm going to put PU, push-ups. In how many days? 2 days. And I want to know how many push-ups per day, per 1 day. All right, what are you doing? You got to get to the blank. So 2 to 1, 2 divided by 2 is 1. 20 divided by 2 is 10. So you can do 10 push-ups per day. So this is going to be 10. So you're going to come up here, find all the 10s, and you're going to put an O. All right, find all the 10s and put an O. Now, all right, at this point, it keeps going through. Now, you're going to need to set up a proportion for those, okay? All right, next one, clue 3. Now, clue 3, it says crack the code by reducing each ratio to its lowest form. In other words, guys, you're simplifying. Now, remember, ratios are just like fractions. All right, so let's look at number 1, 60 to 10. Well, 60 to 10 is the same thing as 60 over 10. And all I want to do is simplify it. Well, how do you simplify it? Put it in a sled. 60, 10, I can pull out a 10, and I'm left with 6 to 1. So that's as far as I can go. So therefore, my simplified fractions of 60 over 10 is 6 to 1. That's your simplified fraction. But notice they wrote it as a ratio with a colon. It means exactly the same thing, 6 to 1, 6 to 1. Let's do the next one, 40 to 20. Well, 40 to 20, I'm going to write it as a fraction. 40 over 20, I'm going to simplify it. Well, put it in a sled, 40 to 20. And I'm going to pull out a 10. I'm going to be left with 4 and 2. I'll pull out a 2 because they're even. I'll be left with 2 to 1. So 40 to 20 is the same thing as 2 to 1. So 40 to 20 is going to be 2 to 1. So let's go up here, find any 2 to 1s, and we'll put an N there. So let's look at 2 to 1s, 2 to 1, 2 to 1. I think I'm missing it. Let's see, 2 to 1. I'm missing it. Where is it? There it is. I went right past it. That's an N. All right, and just keep going. Now, guys, listen. How do you know if a number 5 goes into a number? It ends in a 5. Okay, if you can't think of what goes into 84 and 7, think what goes into 7 that also goes into 84. Big hint. All right, now let's look at clue 4. All right, let's look at clue 4. All right, it says crack the code by solving the problems of the boxes. Use your answers to match and place the letters in the boxes to reveal a clue. Put the letters in every box that it matches your answer. All right, so the first one's done for you. All right, now, honestly, they've done the hardest one for you. If 6 books cost $20.46, how much would 8 books cost? All right, now I could set up a proportion, or you can actually set up a couple of proportions. We could do 6 books cost $20.46. 20.46. Now, guys, I need to know what 8 books cost. Here's the problem. 6 doesn't go into 8. Okay? So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to simplify this. Well, here's a hint. I wouldn't even simplify it. I'm going to do Ethan's method. Ethan Scott, he had a great method. He always liked to change everything to the unit rate. So I think that's going to be the best thing for you here. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to say, we're going to do the unit rate. To get to 8 books, before we can even get to 8 books, I need to find out how much 1 book costs. All right? Once I figure out how much 1 book costs, then I can figure out how much 8 books cost. So let's figure out how much 1 book costs. All right, that can be that is easy to figure out how much 1 book costs. So if 6 books cost $20.46, 1 book, what are you going to do? You're going to have to divide by 6. All right, so let's get our calculator and do 6 divided by 6 is 1. That one's easy. Now let's do 20 $3.46 divided by 6. Let's do it. You divided 6 by 6, you got one book. So $20.46 divided by 6 gives you $3.41. Now that's for one book. One book costs $3.41. But I need to know 8 books. So what are you going to do to 1 to get to 8? You're going to multiply by 8. So what are you going to do to $3.41? You're going to multiply by 8. So $3.41 times 8, take your calculator, and you're going to get $27.28 for 8 books. And notice they already have that up here. Let's do one more. Now, real quick, I want to talk to you about this one right here, G. It says, if nuts cost $9.20 per pound, how much would 2 1/4 pounds be? Now, real quick, we need to talk about how to change a fraction to a decimal. If it's 2 1/4, here's what you do. You put a 2, decimal. Now, I want you to take your calculator, and I want you to do 1 divided by 2 in your calculator. When you did 1 divided by 2 in your calculator, did you get 0.5? Good. Then all you have to do is you say 2.5. If I have 2 1/4, I put 2 1/2. I'm sorry, it's 2 1/2, not 2 1/4. But if I did 2 1/4, I put my 2 down, put my decimal. Now take your calculator and do 1 divided by 4. 1 divided by 4 gives me 0.25. So 2 1/4 gives me 2.25, because you just put the whole number in front. Let's look at this one. 3 1/2. I think that's where I got the half from, and don't ask. But 3 1/2, all right, it's going to be 3. Now put 1 divided by 2. 1 divided by 2 is 0.5, so this is going to be 3.5. All right, so that's how you show your decimals, okay? All right, so now let's do a couple of these problems. Let's do letter W. If apples cost $3.50 per pound, that means $3.50, $3.50 per pound. That's for 1 pound. Okay? So $3.50 per pound. How much would 1 1/2 pounds cost? So I want 1 1/2. Now remember, 1 1/2 is 1 point. Now do 1 divided by 2, 5. So I need 1 1/2 pounds. All right, so what are you going to do? What do I do to 1 to get 1 1/2? You multiply by 1 1/2. Anything times 1 in itself. So you're going to multiply 350 by 1 1/2. And that is going to give you the cost for 1 1/2 pounds. All right, let's do the next two. All right, so equivalent ratios. All right, so equivalent ratios, crack the code by filling in the blank spaces, etc. Okay, so 10 to 30 equals 10 to blank. Now they already have 300 in here. Let me show you how they got that. Write it just like a fraction. These are proportions, okay? Just write it the same thing. So 10 to 30 is 10 over 30 equals 100 over blank. All right. Well, I've got to get from 30 to the blank. That means I've got to get from 10 to 100. What do I do to 10 to get 100? Multiply by 10. So 30 times 10 gives me 300. That's how they got the 300. Let's do this one. 4 to 5 equals 40 over a blank. All right, ready? 4 to 5 equals 40 over blank. All right, what are you doing? You got to get from the 5 to the blank. What are you doing from 4 to get to 40? Multiply by 10. Multiply by 10. So what's 5 times 10? 50. So 4 to 5 is equivalent to 40 to 50. So I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to find the 40. I'm going to find the 50, and I'm going to put an L. So let's find the 50. Let's do the 50. Yep, L, L. And that's it. And they've already hit the 300. So then solve the mystery. Who is the rogue runner? Write your name. Has discovered that the rogue runner is blank. The police will need to search in the blank for him or her. All right? So all you got to do is go through, find the clues, then go back here